welcome to my Thanksgiving video.
Spend the whole day in the kitchen with me as I cook up an entire Thanksgiving feast to share with friends. I'm preparing some delicious and crowd-pleasing dishes that you can add to your menu as you make your Thanksgiving plans. As usual, I'm trying to make everything from scratch and as delicious as possible.
All right, let's eat.
I wanted to create a magical evening that makes you think of home. If you've ever wanted to host a Thanksgiving dinner at your house, but not exactly sure how to do it, I'll take you step by step through my day as I try to make this happen. It's definitely a lot of work and takes some planning ahead.
A lot happening at once right now. I'm ready for a break. My arm's sore.
But in my opinion, it's all worth it in the end to create the most beautiful holiday memories with the people you love. So come on in because you're invited to my Friendsgiving today.
Hello and welcome to my Thanksgiving video. I'm having friends over tonight, so I'm hosting Friendsgiving, and so this is a great opportunity for me to cook a whole Thanksgiving meal of things, my ideal foods that I would like to eat on Thanksgiving. This is a little bit not traditional. I'm not doing a turkey because I'd rather save that for Thanksgiving Day. I'm also not doing mashed potatoes and gravy. I want to try some other recipes because I feel like those are pretty basic. People know how to make those. So if you are planning ahead for Thanksgiving, you can use this video as an opportunity to gather recipes and inspiration, and I hope that you find it helpful. So I'm starting off with a clean kitchen, and I have my chicken out in the fridge that I've been marinating. So I'm gonna go grab that and let it come to room temperature while I prepare the dough for my pull-apart buns that I'm gonna make tonight. Okay, so for these soft dinner rolls, we're starting off with a tong zong, which is kind of one of my favorite ways to make soft and fluffy bread. So I mixed a cup of water and a third cup of flour. And we're gonna start warming this up and mixing it with a spatula until it turns into a paste. Okay, so this happens pretty quickly, so do not walk away from your pan. And I'm doing this first because I want this to cool down before I mix it into the dough.
Go ahead and spread this out on a plate so it can cool down while you move on to other things. The first recipe I'll be making is a potato and leek gratin with herb-infused cream. This is topped with Gruyere and Parmesan and feels really special but very easy to make. For this recipe, you're going to have and thinly slice a leek with the green parts removed. Wash the leeks really well, then dice up a whole yellow onion and 6 cloves of garlic. You're going to saute the leeks and onions in 2 tablespoons of butter until softened. Season that with some salt and pepper, and once it's soft, you can add in half of the minced garlic. For the herb-infused cream, I'm making a double batch and heating up 2 cups of cream and 1 cup of milk. Into that, I'm adding some sprigs of fresh thyme, ground nutmeg, pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, a couple of bay leaves, and the rest of the minced garlic. Let that simmer for 5 minutes. I had some extra thyme leaves on my cutting board, so I threw that in there with the onions.
I just got a mandolin specifically for this recipe. I've been wanting one for a while. I know they're a little dangerous, so I did get one of these gloves for cutting, but my hope is that it will make this so Perfect. I'm scared. Okay. That looks good. I'm gonna get one more tool. It also came with this. And I chose a mandolin. I don't know if this is gonna work. I chose a mandolin that was recommended by America's Test Kitchen. Bless you. Okay. Why is that so scary? It's kind of not thin enough. Let's go thinner. Okay. Oh, perfect. Yay, look at that. I'm hoping I have enough potatoes here for everyone. But I think because I have so many side dishes and different things to eat that I don't need to worry about tripling any recipes. I think doubling is good enough. Okay, I'm getting better.
I have 4 pounds of russet potatoes here. I'm adding in a teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper and some extra freshly cracked pepper. And I'm mixing in that onion and leek mixture until it's combined. And then you'll put this in a casserole dish and pour the cream over it. However, my casserole dish couldn't quite hold all of the cream, and this is a double batch. So when you make the cream mixture, I would actually suggest that you reduce the cream by a half cup, especially if you're doubling this batch like I am. That way all of the cream fits inside the casserole dish. Line up all your potato slices in there and then just pour the cream over top. You'll want to fish out those herbs first with some tongs to get rid of them. I'm shredding a bunch of Gruyere cheese right now because I'm going to need it to top these potatoes and for a bunch of other recipes planned today. So top it with some Gruyere cheese, and then I'm going to cover this with foil and bake it in the oven at 325 for 75 to 90 minutes. It's a good idea to put this on a tray so that it catches any drippings. But then later I will uncover this and add a little extra cheese and broil it for about 10 minutes to develop a nice golden crust.
While I have my food processor out, I'm gonna go ahead and shred more cheese because I'm gonna make mac and cheese later. And I just wanna show you what cheese I have. I got Old World Red Hoop Cheddar. I got this because it said it was a mild cheddar, so I wanted a creamier cheddar for this. My kids can be really picky about the type of cheese I use in mac and cheese, so I'm hoping that they really like this. So I'm thinking a creamy, mild cheddar, and then I'll add in a little bit of Gruyere, maybe a little bit of Gouda, and then some Monterey Jack. Hopefully that adds some flavor, but it's still not overly sharp.
I I try to be strategic when I use the food processor, especially when I shred cheese because it can leave a mess. So I'm trying to get all of the cheese shredding out of the way. I've done cheddar, Gruyere, Gouda, and Monterey Jack. And I think that's everything I'm gonna need today. Well, I will need to shred some Parmesan cheese, but I actually do that in my Vitamix blender and I turn it into a powder. So I'm just gonna do that later. The next recipe I'm gonna share are these super soft dinner rolls, and I used half freshly milled flour. You can top them with cheese and butter until they're nice and melty, or you can just leave them plain and they still turn out amazing. They make a great, simple dinner roll to serve on your Thanksgiving table.
Okay, I just tidied up the kitchen a little bit and now I'm gonna make soft dinner rolls. I'm feeling a little bit behind schedule here, but just gonna keep chugging along and hopefully I can get everything accomplished in time. Sorry, reading my recipe here. Okay, I need a cup of warm milk, which is 220 grams. A third cup of sugar. I'm using organic cane sugar, and that is 80 grams. 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. Let me grab that. I believe is 9 grams. 1, 2.5. and 10 grams of yeast. I just like to give you the grams as well because I think grams are easier to work with. We're just gonna let the yeast bloom a little bit and I'll add everything else in a couple minutes. So now to the mixer. I'm gonna add 2 eggs. The Tongzong, which is gonna be, it should be 240 grams, but let's see what it actually comes out to. All right, so it only came out to 206 grams. The last time I made this, it was 240 grams. I'm not worried about it. Around there should work. For the flour, I'm doing 240 grams of freshly milled hard red wheat, which is about 2 cups. And now for the all-purpose flour, I'm doing 270 grams, which is also about 2 cups. Now I need a teaspoon and a half. Did I add that yet? No, I didn't. I need to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. 1, 2. And that comes out to 10 or 11 grams. So I'm gonna start mixing this together and then I'm gonna slowly add 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter.
I'm gonna let this dough knead for 5 to 10 minutes before I add the unsalted butter. It develops a little bit of gluten that way, and now I'm adding the butter and I will continue to mix this on medium speed for about 15 minutes. This dough has a lot of enrichments in it, so it tends to need more mixing to develop that gluten. I'm using an Anka Shroom mixer, which I love, but a KitchenAid or another mixer should work fine. I'm coating this bowl with oil and I'll put the dough in there, shape it into a ball, and cover it up and let it rise for an hour or so. This dough is sticky, so it helps to coat your hands with some oil as well so your hands don't stick to it. I'm gonna take a coffee break for a minute, and I wanna thank Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. Trade is my favorite place to source amazing coffee, especially if you like to try different flavors and good coffee is important to you.
I love a good cup of coffee. I will admit I am a bit of a coffee snob. It's just one of those simple joys in life that I like to enjoy every single day. Trade does all of the work for me, sourcing incredible coffee from independent roasters all across the US. So I don't have to stick with the limited options at my local store. I can shop Trade's website and have fresh, cafe quality coffee delivered straight to my door and comparable to grocery store prices. Trade has curated over 450 coffees to suit different taste preferences, so you can try something new with every delivery. This month, I'm trying out Sunflower Espresso Blend from 8th and Rose Coffee Co., and I can tell you right now, it is quite delicious. If you're not sure what coffee you're gonna love, you can take Trade's quiz and they'll help you find a perfect match. This month, Trade also matched me with Huck Bombe Senso Blend and the Rise and Shine Blend from Greater Goods Coffee. When you do take the quiz, their team of baristas, tasters, and Q graders will use real coffee knowledge to match you with a coffee you'll love. So if you're looking to upgrade your coffee experience, go check out Trade Coffee. They're currently offering 50% off a 1-month trial if you go to drinktrade.com/Christine and 10% off gifts. All right, I'm going to enjoy my coffee here for a minute, finish my sandwich, and then get back to work. I love coffee so much.
There are a few odds and ends I need to get done before I get started on the next dish. First, I want to make a topping for my green bean casserole. You could also just do onions, but I decided to do leeks and shallots to be fancy here. I'm also adding in some dried rosemary and sage. It's actually fresh rosemary and sage that I dried out over the past couple days. I'm adding in some garlic as well, but I'm starting off first by frying just the shallots and leeks in some hot grapeseed oil. And then I'll use a spider skimmer to fish it out and set it on a plate lined with a paper towel. And once it's turning golden, you know it's time to take it out, so you don't want to walk away from your pan here. I had multiple things going on at once in the kitchen, so I really couldn't walk away far anyways.
What's the plan for what we should wear today?
I'm gonna wear a dress. I got a new dress, it's coming today.
I'm gonna wear
Casual dress, like it's a dress, but it's still casual. I'm out of coffee.
Where did you get those costumes?
I don't know if they'll have any more.
What do you mention?
A lot happening at once right now.
Ship the tag.
Oh, wow. See that?
Wow.
Supposed to put Parmesan on this, but there's like no room, so we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna keep it as it is.
I'm going to revisit this gratin later, closer to dinner time.
I'm just gonna put in some herbs now and some garlic and give those a quick fry in this oil. I tried to cut it nice and thin, but I probably could have done it even thinner. I don't like how thick some of those pieces are. I'm gonna take some of those out. So the garlic only needs like, not long at all. Maybe a minute. Now I'm gonna add herbs. Now I am gonna save this oil. It has a ton of flavor in it. So I'm gonna just put that there for now. Okay, I'm very relieved that this part is over because I need to focus on the chicken now. Okay. All right, so I marinated the chicken yesterday in buttermilk. This is Samin Nostrat's recipe where all you do is marinate chicken in buttermilk for 12 to 24 hours, buttermilk and salt. And then you roast it in the oven, and I'll explain it. But it just turns out perfect. And I thought, I've got a lot of other things I'm making. I don't need to overcomplicate the protein in this meal. Roast chicken is perfect. You could also do this with a turkey. You could spatchcock the turkey and then marinate it in salt and buttermilk for a longer amount of time, since turkeys are larger, so maybe 2 days before Thanksgiving, you would want to make sure you get it in the buttermilk. It just turns out beautiful. So let's get this going.
I'm gonna first take you back in time and show you how I marinated this chicken. For each chicken, I did 2 cups of buttermilk and 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. If you're using sea salt, use 4 teaspoons. You can use this same method for a whole turkey. So for a 10 to 14 pound turkey, you're gonna wanna use 128 grams of kosher salt and 11 cups or 3 quarts of buttermilk. Now for the chicken or the turkey, you want to clip off the wing tips and reserve those for chicken stock later. I like to keep them in my freezer. And then I'm gonna put this chicken in a gallon bag. For a turkey, you could put it in a large 2-gallon bag. Just pour the marinade over it and let it sit in your refrigerator. It's best to have it in a tray so it doesn't leak, and come back to it later. It's also a great idea to prepare some homemade chicken stock ahead of time before the holidays. You can use it to make a delicious gravy, and you often need chicken stock in recipes, so I like to use my own homemade version. Mine turned out nice and gelatinous with the addition of chicken feet. I know that sounds gross, but it is really good for you, good for your skin, good for everything, and now I have this ready to go for all the cooking I'm going to be doing. I left a link in the description for more details on how to make this, but now we're moving on to my favorite holiday dessert that is super easy to make ahead of time. I made this the day before our Friendsgiving for one less thing to do day of.
So a classic that my mom always made and my grandmother made is the chocolate crunch bombe sundae. So I'm gonna make that for you today. It might not be a traditional Thanksgiving dessert, but it is for me. And I think it's a really easy one to make, and make it the night before and have it ready to go on Thanksgiving Day, and everyone should love it.
Into a food processor, cream a 1/2 cup of butter and a 1/2 cup of sugar.
So I'm just gonna get the butter into this bowl, and we're gonna mix in all of the other ingredients into this bowl before we press it into the final bowl that it will get frozen into. It's a little hard for me to gauge how much I need to do of this because my mom used to either double or triple it, feeding our big giant family. I actually have 7 siblings, so I come from a family of 8 kids, and we love holidays for that reason. It's so fun when everyone gets together, but I don't have a good idea of how much to make of this because this was usually my mom's recipe that she would make, or my sister would make it. I've actually never made it. These are unsalted, dry roasted peanuts.
I'm adding a cup of sweetened shredded coconut, and then I added a 1/2 cup of unsalted peanuts that have been crushed, and now I'm going to crush up a bunch of graham crackers and add a 1.5 cups to the bowl. I realized I could have done all this in the food processor, I just didn't realize it in the moment.
Something tells me mixing this is going to be harder than I thought. Eek! I can already tell that this is not wanting to come together. Oh, I didn't even measure my graham crackers. I just dumped them in there. That explains a lot, actually. This is the problem with filming. I can't keep track of everything. How many graham crackers did I put in here? It was probably like 2 cups. So I'm gonna add more butter to this.
I added some more melted butter, but it was still looking kind of crumbly, and so I gave my sister a call to see if I was doing it right because she's the one who normally makes this. She said it was a little too crumbly. You should be able to shape it to the bowl without it falling apart. So I'm putting this all back in the food processor. I added a couple more tablespoons of butter, a little bit of sugar just to even it out, and we'll see how this works. This is already looking so much better.
Okay, well, I'm very glad I called my sister because she gave me some helpful information and she told me to line the bowl with plastic wrap or wax paper. That would have been so frustrating to try and get it out tomorrow and for it to just like not come out.
This is what it should look like. It's gonna go in the freezer for about 30 minutes and then I'm going to add some softened vanilla ice cream into there. I'm gonna use a whole container and then I'll put this in the freezer and let it harden.
Okay, I see my boys out there doing something. What is happening? Can you see me? Can you hear me? I'm having a lot of technical difficulties with this new microphone, so bear with me as I learn the ropes of making videos. All right, let's get to the next step.
Now I'm just dumping some thawed chocolate ice cream in there, just get it completely covered. And I had some extra ice cream in the freezer and I decided to use it all up to create a nice flat surface on the top and then cover it with some plastic wrap.
Ta-da! Okay, putting this in the freezer.
To go with that dessert, I'm gonna make the most delicious chocolate fudge sauce, and these are the ingredients you will need. Into a saucepan, I'm adding 1.5 cups of sugar and an 11-ounce can of condensed milk. Then I'll add 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 4 tablespoons of water. Then add 6 heaping tablespoons of cocoa powder and whisk that all together and bring it to a boil while stirring for about 5 minutes so it can thicken up. Then turn off the heat and add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract or vanilla bean paste and whisk in 4 tablespoons of butter. This is going to be the most delicious chocolate sauce to drizzle over top the sundae that we're going to be serving. This is best served chilled, so I'm going to pour it into a gravy boat and put it in the refrigerator. I did a double batch here, but the recipe on my website will be for a single batch. Now I'm taking my chicken out of the marinade, trying to get most of the buttermilk off.
Okay. And you're just gonna put it in a skillet, just like that. The oven is preheating right now to 425. Okay, this last one, I'm going to cheat and cook it in the air fryer. Don't fall on me. I just wanna get rid of some of the juices here. I've got some butcher's twine.
With butcher's twine, just overlap the legs over top of each other and tie them together. There's no special trick to do this, just get them together and tie them as best as you can.
All right, a little trick with this recipe is you want the legs to point, so this part of the chicken, to point to the back left corner of the oven. Since I'm doing 2 chickens, I'm gonna make it so that they each point to the back corners of the oven because those are the hottest parts, and I think we're gonna end up shifting it around halfway, but we're gonna start like that. So if this one's going in, I need the handle to go this way, and the chicken needs to go that way. And then if this one's in that corner, I need the chicken to go that way. I do have an oven thermometer in here. I do recommend you get one of those. That just keeps your oven honest. All right, now for the last chicken, this is just a safety chicken to make sure we have enough. I'm gonna air fry it at 400 I'm gonna start with 30 minutes on one side, on the breast side down, and then I'll flip it and roast it for the last another 15 minutes, breast side up.
Now that the chickens are starting to cook, I feel a little weight off my shoulders, so I'm just gonna go ahead and clean my kitchen and get reset before I make the next recipes. My soft sourdough dinner rolls have risen quite a bit and they're ready to be shaped. So I'm gonna dust some flour on the surface here, and this is a double batch. So each batch you wanna divide into 10 rolls or 9 rolls, depending on how large you want them. I decided to do 10, so because I have a double batch here, I'll shape these into 20 little pieces. They don't need to be perfect here, just try to get them into a round shape, and then we're gonna let them rest for about 15 to 20 minutes until we shape them again. I like to cover my dough with flour sack towels. These are just really lightweight, large towels that are so useful.
All right, now we gotta do a little oven switcheroo. I have turned it down to 400 now. Let's see if we can. Ready for a break. Yay! Thanksgiving!
To shape these rolls, you're going to take each dough ball and roll it out into an oval shape, and then fold the bottom to the middle, fold the top down, flip it over, and then roll it out again, flip it over again, and then roll that up, and then fold it so that it meets each other. This makes a tight shaped dough ball and it rises really well. Since these are pull apart rolls, we're gonna stuff them really nice and close to each other in a pan. So this will help give them some structure. I'm gonna show you one more time. Place them in a pan with a little bit of room for rising and cover them with plastic wrap and set them to the side.
The chicken is almost finished. I covered it with foil just so that it doesn't brown too much. And now I'm gonna make one of my childhood favorites, which is green bean casserole. Growing up, I was usually the one to make this, and it usually required me just dumping a can of cream of mushroom soup in with green beans, usually from a can, and then topping it with a can of fried onions, and that was it, and I loved it. Now that I'm a grown-up, I have come up with my own grown-up version, which I'm calling real green bean casserole. We're using fresh ingredients, homemade bone broth, real cream, making our own cream of mushroom soup, and then topping it with homemade crispy shallots and leeks, which we're using as our crispy topping. So let's get started.
For this recipe, you'll need to dice 2 shallots and mince 4 cloves of garlic. Then clean off a pound of mushrooms by wiping them dry with a paper towel. Cut off the stems, halve and slice them. Place these in a glass bowl, cover with plastic wrap, and microwave for 2.5 minutes. When finished, you should see some juice at the bottom of the bowl, and we're going to drain that out. My chicken is finished now. I'm just gonna set this to the side and cover it with foil so it can rest and also stay warm. In a large skillet, heat up 4 tablespoons of butter and saute your mushrooms until browned. Add in some fresh or dried thyme, a teaspoon of salt, and a half teaspoon of pepper. When the mushrooms are browned, add in your shallots and garlic and saute for a few more minutes. Sprinkle in 1/4 cup of flour and stir to coat. Slowly add in a cup of broth and a cup of cream a little at a time while stirring until it thickens. Simmer for a few minutes. I love seeing this come together. Nobody needs a can of soup when you have this recipe. Finish it off with more salt and pepper to taste and a splash of white wine vinegar. This is so delicious and full of flavor, and we're gonna pour this over our green beans. I already cooked my green beans for 5 minutes in salted water, and then I shocked them in an ice bath so that they keep their beautiful green color. And I'm just gonna mix this all together, and I'll cover it with foil and set it to the side, and later I will top it with that crispy topping and bake it in the oven until it looks ready. Now I need to make some sweet potato mash and also some mac and cheese, but I forgot to get some shell pasta, so I'm going to give my husband a call.
Can you...
You're so pretty. Oh, you're the prettiest woman on the planet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor?
Absolutely anything.
Can you, get me at Kroger or wherever? I need
Except for that. I was kidding. Go ahead.
I need 2 pounds of shell pasta, like for mac and cheese, but like shell shape.
Okay. I like it. Okay. How are things going?
I've got the green bean casserole ready to go in the oven. I've got the potato gratin ready to go in the oven. The chicken is done. I'm about to make mashed sweet potatoes. When you get home, I'm gonna make the mac and cheese, the rolls, the I don't want my buns to rise too aggressively, so I'm gonna go put this in the outside refrigerator, well, all of these. That way it just slows down the rising process, and I can pull these out closer to when people will arrive so I can have them nice and warm when they get here.
Now, I thought it would be fun to make mashed sweet potatoes instead of mashed potatoes. I actually really love mashed sweet potatoes, and so I thought I would put my own spin on this and add some browned butter with some sage and just see what we can do with the humble sweet potato. So we're gonna start off with 4 pounds of sweet potatoes. I'm gonna chop them in half like this and then chop them into like 1/4 of an inch slices here. Now heading over to the stove in a small saucepan, I'm gonna melt 4 tablespoons of butter and infuse it with some flavors. So I'm adding some fresh sage leaf, and I'll also add some smashed garlic cloves. And we're gonna let that simmer until the butter starts to turn brown, and then you can turn off the heat.
My water is boiling for my sweet potatoes, and I'm gonna add them in now.
Bring the sweet potatoes to a boil and then cover it, bring it down to a simmer, and let it cook for about 12 minutes.
I'm gonna add this right back to the pot now. Turning the heat back on and cooking out the steam and moisture for a few more minutes. Oh, my arm's sore. Oh, nice. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Went to the store and went to the park.
Nice. I've gotten a lot of steam out of these mashed potatoes. I'm gonna turn the heat off and add in the brown butter and some nutmeg, some salt, cream, and just finish it off. A little bit of nutmeg. Wait, I need more than that. All right, we've got our brown butter.
Wait, help me.
Now I'm going to add about 2 more tablespoons of butter, a teaspoon of salt, and a splash of cream, and just mix that up. It will be light and fluffy, but still with some texture, which is the way that I like it.
Wow, this looks so good.
Season to taste with extra salt and pepper.
I'm just gonna cover this up, put it to the side. We'll warm them up later. All right, almost home free. This is the last dish I need to make, and then I need to start putting things in the oven and baking things. So I'm making cornflake crusted mac and cheese. And I'm gonna first make like a roux with milk and flour and butter, and then add cheese to the sauce. And I decided last minute to double this recipe, so I don't know if I shredded enough cheese earlier today. I really hope that I have enough there because I don't want to do that again. But I have everything kind of ready to go. So first I need to warm up. Now keep in mind, I am doubling this recipe. It's gonna be a lot. So the recipe that I'm gonna post on my blog, the link will be in the description, is half this amount. So normally you would only warm up 4 cups of milk. I'm warming up 8 cups of milk. So I've got everything working over here. I'm gonna warm the milk up in a pot, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make the cornflake crust and set that to the side. I have my pasta water boiling right now. Once that's, well, almost boiling. Once that's done, I'll add the pasta. So everything should come together around the same time, hopefully. So I'm gonna go ahead and warm this up. This seems like way too much milk, so just hope it all works. All right, now I need to melt some butter. My new thing lately is to add herbs to butter and brown it, and it just adds more flavor to everything.
I never got around to shredding that Parmesan cheese, so I'm doing it now in my Vitamix, so I have a bunch of Parmesan ready to go. So first I cooked 2 pounds of pasta in salty water and then drained that. And into the same pot, I added 10 tablespoons of butter and 2/3 cup of flour. We're making a roux here, so it's gonna turn into a thick paste. And then we'll slowly add in the 8 cups of warmed milk. Yes, this is a lot of cheese sauce. I probably didn't need to make this much, but I did do a double batch. And so if you make a single batch, it'll fit better in your casserole dish and just turn out nice and cheesy. I am glad I made a double batch though, because my kids ended up eating this days and days after our Friendsgiving. So I think it was worth the effort. So now that my sauce has thickened, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Then I added a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, decided that was a bit too much, so took a little bit out. And now I'm adding all of that cheese I shredded. So in the end, I added about 8 cups of cheese and just add it a little bit at a time and mix it in. So doing a combination of cheeses here is a good idea. And it's also a good idea to save some for actually layering into the pasta. So you could pour your sauce into the pasta and reserve half of it to the side. I have half of it in this other pot behind me, and then mix that together. And what I would do if I had room is I would take some more shredded cheese, add a thin layer, and then add more pasta over that, and then bake it like that. So you have kind of a extra cheese layer in the middle there. But I didn't have room for that. And believe me, I know this is a very decadent mac and cheese. This is Thanksgiving here, so we're not holding back.
And even if there is, we will eat it.
Oh, is it gonna fit? Oh, it fits.
Now, I like to add some crunch on top of mac and cheese, so you can do panko breadcrumbs or some cornflakes like I've done. I toasted them in some butter and Parmesan and just added some flavor to that. I probably wouldn't do a super thick layer. I just had too much. I doubled this as well, but I definitely did not need to double the cornflakes. Either way, it turned out delicious. I'm gonna put it in the oven and let it get nice and bubbly and crispy. Now I'm revisiting my gratin here. I'm going to put it back in the oven, but first I'm going to top it with some Parmesan cheese. And if you have room, some extra Gruyere cheese. Go ahead and get that back in the oven to warm it up.
All right, almost time to put the buns in.
Stop or repeat.
These will need 20 minutes.
Everything is starting to go in the oven. It's getting closer to dinner time, so I'm going to carve the chickens I roasted. First, I cut off the thighs, then I cut off the breasts, and then I'll cut that into slices and try and layer it nicely back inside the skillet. The chicken really turned out so perfect. It was moist and full of flavor. And the great thing about serving it in the skillet is I can take this whole skillet and put it in the oven at a lower temperature and cover it with foil and just keep it warm until closer to when people arrive.
Good enough. All right.
The mac and cheese is finished and bubbling over the side of the casserole dish, so definitely put it on a sheet pan when you bake it. And the gratin is also finished, but I'm going to give it an extra few minutes in the broiler so it can add some nice color to the top. And now it's time for the green bean casserole to go in. I'm putting that crispy topping on there, and I'll put it in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes. The buns can go in at the same time. I'm brushing them first with some beaten egg, and I'll bake those for about 20 minutes. And then at the end, for some of them, I'm going to top them with some butter and extra cheese so we can have some buttery, cheesy, pull-apart rolls.
Oh, it fits. All right, we gave this a couple more minutes in this little oven here to broil it, to give it more color.
Look how beautiful this turned out, and now it's time for me to go get dressed and get ready for our friends to arrive. The house was buzzing with excitement, and come on in because you're invited to our Friendsgiving too. All the recipes from today will be posted on my blog, and the link is in the description. Everything turned out amazing, and I felt very accomplished at the end of the day. I was, however, starving, so I had to at least have a bite of these before my friends got here.
Mom, someone's here.
Our friends just pulled up. Just gonna grab a quick snack. All right, let's eat.
I'd say all of them are good, but
I think. Did you eat it all?
no.
What do you like the most?
Definitely.
The bread. That makes sense. Yeah.
This is my favorite part of Thanksgiving.
Everyone enjoyed the feast, but the best part was having an excuse to have friends over and spoil everyone with good food and good times. Now there are a bunch of little kids who were not about to let me forget about dessert.
Hey,
Watch out, there's a
how
bomb.
come our house haven't blown up yet?
Gentle. Yeah, work. Hey, it doesn't stop there. Don't touch it.
Chocolate sauce.
A little bit here.
Wait till you guys see
Pull it
this.
apart.
This is gonna be
The house has been for like 2 days.
ice cream and green crackers.
Okay, pull apart. No, you broke it.
Listen, I've never made this before. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it on the cutting board. This isn't how we did it growing up, but
I can love these.
we need forks and a spoon for serving the. Yeah, that'd be great. Extra everywhere. There you go. That's probably good. We're just gonna embrace the mess.
Sometimes you just got to, especially with ice cream.
That's what it is.
I mean, you
No, you got it.
You guys can't be friends anymore.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some ideas as you plan for your Thanksgiving with your families, and I will be back next week with more cozy homemaking and holiday content for you. So please like and subscribe if you like this sort of content, and I will see you next time.